Hey YouTube, Dan Otto here, and there are 4 weeks left in the season. This week is Ultra League and Willpower, so this video will go over the Willpower rankings and teams like I always do, but we need to talk about the schedule because there's only 4 weeks left and the schedule is whack. So this week we have Ultra League Open, which is 2500 CP, and then we have Willpower Cup, which I'm going to go over everything. It is a 1500 CP, so it's a great league. Next week is Ultra League and Ultra League Premier, so that's two 2500 CP. Ultra League Premier means no classic. Ultra Premier means no legendaries, but it still means XL. So two 2500 CPs with XL Pokemon. And then the following week, we have Master League Open, which is level 50 XLs all across the board, and Element Cup Remix. And Element Cup is a 500 CP, so it's a little cup, which are annoying to play. And then the last week is a Master League, another Open XL, and Catch Cup, which is a 1500 CP, but it's only Pokemon that you've caught since September. So if you built up all these other Pokemon like I have over the years, they're not allowed to be used. So you really don't have a lot of time. Like, there's no Open Great League remaining, right? It's these specialized 1500 cups or 2500 cups or Open, right? So it's going to be tricky to grind. And you know what? I'm still not at Legend. This is the latest I've ever gone in a season since like season 2 when I didn't hit Legend. This is the longest I've ever gone in a season without hitting Legend. So I need to pick it up right now to hit Legend. So I'm going to just pump out try-hard teams. But let's go for Willpower, because Willpower is, I don't know. I'm interested in it, but I'm also worried about it a little bit. So Willpower is 1500 CP, like I mentioned. Fighting, Psychic, and Dark. And I always hate limited cups. So no Gardevoir, because Gardevoir is half Psychic, half Fairy. Fairy use Charm. Against Dark and Fighting, you can't do that. So Gardevoir is banned. But you look at this, and it's kind of like, they're supposed to counter each other, right? So Psychic will do great against the Fighting. Fighting will do great against the Dark, and Dark will do great against the Psychic. But the problem which you're going to see in the rankings is, let's just actually open up the rankings right now. What you're going to see right now is the board is mostly black, because the problem is there are so many Pokemon here that have secondary typings, like Mandibuzz with Flying, Sableye with Ghost, that it automatically neutralizes the Fighting, right? So the fighters don't have a huge advantage, and a lot of these other Pokemon can just hit sort of neutral on Fighting, right? So there's not gonna be a ton of just like pure fighters in this, counter users per se. So that's just something to keep in mind, and that's why Dark is going to run the board, because you're going to do well against the Psychic, and you have a lot of secondary typings to neutralize that. And you also have like Pokemon that can let's just go over there on the list, but like 4th on the list has Aquatail Shadow Ball, which can just cover like everything, right? So that's why you have like Mandibuzz, Umbreon, Quillfish, Sableye, Pawniard, Swilus, Overquill, Liepard. Oh, I can actually use mine. I built one up for specialized cups. Specialized tournament. So Liepard, because it knows Charm, it's a Dark that knows Charm, and Sableye again, right? So you have a lot of Darks, a lot of secondary typings on here, and it's just, you're going to do great against the Psychics, and you're going to, in most cases, be okay against fighters. And again, when there's a Psychic out there, and when you can have a Dark with Charm, and when you can have Darks with neutral moves like Dragon Breath and Shadow Claw, right? It makes fighters really, really limited, right? So I think it's going to be mostly a Dark and Psychic Cup, right? Which already kind of limits the field. So let's go over all those Psychics. Wobbuffet's on here twice, Cresselia, Victini, and Rapidash. And actually Raichu is the Psychic Electric. So Raichu is an interesting one, because I've used it in factions before, and it's running Thunder Punch because it's a bait move, and it is very, very, very glassy, right? It's probably one of the glassiest on this list right now. But the Wild Charge hits like a truck. So it's one of those Pokemon that you need to... I feel like a lot of these matchups still require the bait Thunder Punch, which is why you're running Thunder Punch. And you're not running Grass, because you need it more of a bait move, and there's too many poisons in here to run Grass. So you're running Thunder Punch, but like, man, if you can get shields down, you're going to have a good time with Raichu. So keep that in mind. Wobbuffet, Super Tank, that's running Charm. It knows Charm. It's going to be non-stab. It's going to be interesting. I may test it out, because I was actually teasing it in another video where it has like, if you use the counter Wobbuffet in Great League, it has great matchups against like Medicham and Bastiodon, and like, it's got a lot of good matchups. Cresselia I've got on one of my teams. I'm going to go over it on the team, but it's one of those Pokemon where it's like, It doesn't have a lot of winning matchups, but I wouldn't use it for a winning matchup Pokemon, and I'll go over that in my team. Victini is, again, one of those. V-Crate and Overheat are both like nukes of moves, so that one you're just kind of nuking. Zweilous, sorry, I already went over the darks. And then Rapidash is a fairy, half fairy, I think, half psychic. So you got that fairy one, play rough, right? There's your dark coverage, and then body slam spam for the rest. And then the secondary things you're going to see is a lot of dark poisons. I've already gone over the importance of dark poisons on this. So like really, if you like, you see a lot of purple on here, but all those purples are dark as well. So the front page is essentially all black with a couple psychics, and there's no like just pure fighters on the front. So that's what I expected with this cup. But yeah, so the secondary typing is important here because you can still do so well against the other darks, right? Because the darks can only throw like air. Mandibuzz is running air slash, right? So you don't run into the situation where you're running into other darks. But like Sableye, Shadow Claw, Foul Play, everything would be resisted there with the darks, right? So Skuntank, Agrimer, Drapion. So I think they're probably going to be good save swaps, and they're going to be good at neutralizing their other dark counterparts who don't have those secondary moves. And these poison jabs and either flamethrower, poison jab, sludge bomb, Aqua Tail, like those will start adding up because a lot of these are pretty spammy Pokemon. So let's go over some teams here. So the first team, I just took the first couple Pokemon on the list, Mandibuzz, Umbreon. I'm like, I just want to see how they're doing against the meta. And it's just like, wow, okay, straight coverage down the board essentially. A little weak to Pawniard, who's XL and has Fury Cutter, and then there's Wireless, who's also dark but has Dragon Breath, right? So you got two darks with moves that can deal with darks, which is why you lose those matchups, but they're not hard losses, right? So that's why I paired it with Metachamp as the answer to this. Super bulky team, tons of coverage down the board. I think Mandibuzz is going to be, I think a lot of people were in Raichu, because I think Raichu is a nice, I don't know if I put Raichu on any of my teams. Actually, I did not, but I think Raichu is a nice sneaky pick, but just Raichu is super classy. If you're going to build a team with Raichu, build it with some bulk. So like, I was going to say build Raichu with instead of the Metachamp, but you can't because then you're triple weak to Zweilous. So that's why Metachamp covers the sort of Zweilous and Pawniard. Just good counter user to deal with some of these things that are going to cause problems to either Umbreon or Mandibuzz. So I think team bulk, good coverage, like don't overthink it is essentially what that team says. So team number 2 is, I did build it with Raichu. So yeah, I started with Raichu, my greatest answer to Mandibuzz, because it's running Air Slash, so it's a little slower on the energy generation to get to the Foul Play. And then look, I think a lot of these are going to be bait dependent, right? I think like the Sableye, I can't imagine the Sableye is not bait dependent between the Shadow Claws and Foul Play. You're probably going to need to bait with the Thunder Punch. You're probably going to need to bait with the Thunder Punch on a few of these, so keep that in mind. But it's one of those, if you get shields down or just throw a nuke and bail, and this is why I built this team this way. So I started with Raichu and Obstagoon, because again, like Raichu as a psychic is going to be weak to dark, right? So Umbreon's going to light it up. Pawniard you're going to have trouble with. The Drapion as like the half poison, half dark is going to cause you a bit of trouble just because of the spam. So Obstagoon is a great answer to those other darks that are going to cause you problems down the board. So great coverage all the way down. And then the recommendation gave me Cresselia, and I put Cresselia in, and I'm like, that is a lot of circles. So the circles mean losses. And again, it makes sense. Cresselia is a psychic in a dark dominated meta, dark poison dominated meta. So why would you use it? You would use it on this team for 2 reasons. One, it's a good answer to like just a pure fighter. Like if you get Obstagoon against a pure fighter, like Metachamp, you're in trouble, right? And then 2, it's one of those Pokemon where you need bulk on this team for Raichu. So if you're going to run Raichu and you're going to just throw and bail or bait and bail and the double throw sort of thing, you need shields for Raichu. So you need something like Cresselia just to absorb all that damage. And that's basically how I'd use this team. Like save shields for Raichu, try to nuke stuff. Crest comes in. Crest still has Moonblast, right? Crest has Moonblast for all these darks. Absorb a bunch of energy, try and grab shields, and then shields down, dominate with Raichu, and then Obstagoon as the sort of coverage user there, counter user there. And then we have, I started with Sableye. I'm like, everyone's got an XL Sableye, not everyone, but a lot of people have XL Sableye. They may just want to try it. even in dark matchups, like you're going to lose, but you're not going to lose too bad. And that's basically what happens, right? You deal with all your psychics, you lose to your darks, but you're not going to lose super bad. So I'm like, okay, I need a coverage for the darks. What's a good coverage for the darks? And I mentioned in my first teams, Wireless is a great answer for all the darks coverage, right? So I basically covered my darks with 2 Pokemon here, Wireless and Skunk Tank. The Dark Dragon and the Dark Poison. Dragon Breath and then Poison Jab and plus Move will be nice coverage for those Pokemon that you have weaknesses to Sableye, which is essentially all your darks. And then good coverage down the board. So am I interested in this cup? Yes. I don't think it's, again, I hate limited cups because you are going to very quickly narrow what people will use. I think, again, I'm always optimistic going into some of these cups because, like, I've got 9 unique Pokemon here that can all have play in this meta. You can do a bunch more on here. Like, I've got Quillfish built up. I've got Wobbuffet built up. I've got Drapions, Mews, like Lucarios, Scrafties. I actually don't have a Lugia. So there are different sort of combos you can build here. So again, if you're going to play this meta, just think that unless people try to sneak in like a charm, there are a couple charm users. Like the Wobbuffet Comics card, I didn't know it knows charm. It knows charm. So if you're going to run a charm Wobbuffet, watch for that. And the other Pokemon that knows charm is on the board, Liepard. Yeah, I think it's a Liepard. Let me bring it back up here. Yeah, Liepard at number 17. Also knows charm. It's a dark that knows charm. So there are a couple charm users out there, so just be aware of that. But for the most part, I think dark is going to dominate this meta. Anyways, that is it. Let me know in the comments below what you're using. Good luck on the final push for these final 4 weeks, and I'll see you guys in the next one.